Listen to part of a lecture in a zoology class.
So today I'd like to go into more detail about mimicry. Mimicry, can anyone tell us what that is?
Isn't mimicry where an animal tries to look like something else? But now I'm a little confused because it seems to me that camouflage also refers to something where the animal tries to resemble something. Could you explain how camouflage is different from mimicry?
That's a good question. I was hoping that someone would bring that up. Although mimicry and camouflage involve morphological changes, as they are both survival strategies that animal and plant species adopt to protect themselves against predators, there are fundamental differences between the two. In more concrete terms, mimicry is the close resemblance of an animal or plant to another organism which is obvious. It often refers to the similarities between animal species, while camouflage is an animal trying to blend in with its surroundings. Do you see the difference?
So, I guess mimicry is the similarities between animal species, and camouflage is the ability of animals to blend with the environment, right?
You bet. That's why camouflage will not appear obvious for that matter. In most cases, an animal species will use camouflage to resemble an inanimate object. Take the octopuses for instance. They are one of the masters of camouflage. Cephalopods, such as squids, octopuses, and cuttlefish, have several disguise tricks for blending in with their undersea surroundings. They usually have special organs in their skins called chromatophores which allow them to camouflage. But I won't get into too much of that since our topic for today is actually mimicry. Okay, moving on. There are two major types of mimicry. One is Mullerian, and the other is Batesian, both named after the naturalists who first theorized them after observing butterflies. Mullerian mimicry is the tendency of two or more unrelated inedible or noxious species, resembling each other to gain protection from predators. Mullerian mimicry is common in aposematic animals, which are animals that warn potential predators of their dangerous or noxious nature. A classic example of Mullerian mimicry is between monarch butterflies and viceroy butterflies. These two unpalatable species mimic each other to signal to their predators that they are distasteful. This mimicry works because predators learn to avoid any one of the relevant species from the warning signals after having a bad experience. They will likely not pursue the similar foul-tasting prey again. One thing to note is that animals can employ different strategies throughout their development. This means, the monarch butterflies are aposematic in their larval stage, as larvae, but once they emerge from the development as adults, they use Mullerian mimicry. The other type of mimicry is Batesian. In Batesian mimicry, a non-harmful species has evolved to mimic the appearance of a harmful species to avoid potential predators. A great example of this mimicry is seen between king snakes and coral snakes. The king snake, which is non-venomous, uses mimicry to dupe predators into thinking it is a coral snake, which is actually a venomous snake. Can anyone tell the difference between a king snake and a coral snake from this picture?
It seems to be difficult to tell them apart since they both have black, red, and yellow rings, but the colors appear in a different order.
Right. There are some similarities as they both have a tricolored pattern of black, red, and yellow. But if you look closely, you will see that there are more differences. Particularly, there is an observable difference when you look at the head and the tail of the snake. The coral snake's head is black with a short snout, whereas the king snake has a red head with an elongated snout. Possibly, it's a reason why we call king snake a scarlet king snake. And when you look at the tail, the venomous coral snake has a tail that has black and yellow rings. The non-venomous king snake, on the other hand, shows the same pattern of red, black, yellow, black bands throughout its entire body. You can see that the red band and the yellow band won't be side by side. Thus, here is a famous rhyme to tell the difference between the two. Red touches yellow, kills a fellow. Now, can you remember which snake has the venom? While most mimicry in nature is designed to warn or obscure other animals, some predators use mimicry to hunt for food, or appear as something that attracts their prey. This form of mimicry is called aggressive mimicry, and we'll talk more about this, and some of the noxious imposters in our next class.
Question 1. What is the lecture mainly about? Question 2. Listen again to part of the lecture. Then answer the question. Why does the professor say this?
That's a good question. I was hoping that someone would bring that up.
Question 3. What is true about Müllerian mimicry? Question 4. What can be inferred about mimicry? Question 5. Why does the professor mention a rhyme when describing a king snake and a coral snake? Question 6. In the lecture, the professor describes the features of Müllerian mimicry and Batesian mimicry. Indicate where each of the following belongs.